guys, and welcome back to another video on the West Ham Network channel. My name is Harry and this is part 2 of the battle to be the number 9 series. On this series we have a look at the potential striker options that Moyes may look at, to either replace Antonio or to provide him with decent backup. If you missed the first part of the series last week, I definitely would recommend going back and watching that first, as I discussed Mikel Antonio and the characteristics that are needed to be a David Moyes striker. In the last video we discussed targets such as Youssef Nesyri, Armando Broja and Sasa Kalajdzic. Unfortunately, as of yet, we have not acquired a striker signing, so here I am today to give another 3 options. The first option this week on my list is Embolo. Embolo is a 25-year-old Swiss international who predominantly plays in the striker position. You'll understand why I said predominantly in a minute. Embolo plays in the Bundesliga for Borussia Mönchengladbach. Gladbach are a very similar team to West Ham, in the sense that they are a mid-tier team, but have seasons where they push on and sometimes finish top 8. Although I'm not saying the Bundesliga is a fair comparison to the Premier League, I'm just saying that both teams are of a similar level to one another in their retrospective leagues. Embolo would provide much needed backup within our squad, but not just for Antonio. If we look over the course of the season, Embolo has played in multiple positions across the front line. This really suits the way Borussia Mönchengladbach play, as the system they use revolves around an interchanging front three. Embolo's teammates Marcus Thuram and Alassane Plea constantly interchange around the striker and winger positions, which of course is a headache for the opposing team. This could really fit in nicely at West Ham, as we all know how much Mikel Antonio likes to pull out onto the left flank. It would also give Moyes another option as well, with potentially still playing Antonio up top and Embolo off the left, and throughout the game allow them to keep swapping positions. This duo would definitely cause some havoc. Other than also providing good cover out on the wing, Embolo can also do a very decent job in the number 10 position. Although the attacking midfield position isn't his most favoured, when Gladbach switch into a 4-2-3-1, he can and has been deployed there. I mean, personally, the more positions you can play the better. And if you think about it, it must say something that he can play all these positions, as it would require him to have quite a good understanding about football and the different positions he would need to take up. As I said earlier, Gladbach normally set up with an interchange in front three. Their most favoured formation is a 3-4-3, so Embolo has previous experience working within a front three and would easily be able to slot in next to Mikel Antonio and Jarrod Bowen if needed. Gladbach's style of play is slightly different to West Ham's, in that they see a lot more of the ball, bolstering 55% possession over the course of the season. However, I think a more counter-attacking style of play may suit Embolo even more, to be honest. Now that I've told you all about how Embolo plays, let's have a look into some of his statistics. Over the course of 28 games this season, Embolo has scored 8 goals and provided 3 assists for Gladbach. Not overly impressive, but also not that bad either. If we look at his season heat map, we can see that he's not really a conventional striker, as he likes to occupy the final third of the pitch and doesn't heavily stay in the box a lot. Personally, I think this is a good signing, as it is almost similar to what Antonio does for us, and it's been proven this sort of striker works in our style of play. If we go over and have a look at how he compares with other forwards in the top 5 leagues, he also impresses as well. Embolo is in the top 89% of shot creating actions per 90, creating a mammoth 3.28 per 90 minutes. This would be instrumental to West Ham's attack, as in the last video I spoke about how much of a creator Antonio is. That statistic, paired with it being in the top 84% of expected assists, proves to me anyways that he would be more than capable of creating goal opportunities for this West Ham side. Embolo is also not afraid to have a dribble either, producing 1.5 completed dribbles per 90, which ranks him among the top 86% of other forwards, although this stat may be heightened due to him playing out wide as well. One of the main things Moyes looks for in a striker, and well any position on the pitch, is their work rate, and looking at Embolo, I think he would fit in quite well. Producing over 16 pressures per 90 and 1.2 tackles will just prove that he is more than willing to get stuck in and do the running that Moyes demands out of his front line. If West Ham are looking to sign an affordable backup to Antonio, they best move quick for Embolo. With his contract running out at the end of the next season, I'm sure there will be plenty of suitors after him, and for a price tag of around 10 to 15 million, I'd be handing my bank details over to Gladbach as we speak. The second option on my list for this week is Kelechi Iheanacho. Kelechi Iheanacho is a 25-year-old Nigerian international who plays for Leicester City. Now, if I'm being completely honest with you, this is one that I'm just throwing out there. Obviously, Iheanacho plays for Leicester, and there'll be question marks over if they would sell to us or not, considering we are a very similar level of club, both fighting for Europe each season. But for the purpose of this video, let's just assume they would sell to us. Any striker for Leicester is always going to find it hard to overthrow Jamie Vardy, and nowadays even replace him. However, I'm not too sure if Iheanacho would be the most direct replacement for Vardy, so hopefully for us, they may look to cash in on him. Iheanacho started his career at Manchester City before moving to Leicester in 2017, but has struggled for a full season as the main man up front due to the goal scoring record of Jamie Vardy. But if I was Iheanacho, I would be looking for a club that would be playing me in my favoured position with the view to be the main man up front, especially as he heads into the prime of his career. So let's have a look at why I think that club may be West Ham. Before we start, we have to remember that if Moyes is looking for a direct Mikel Antonio replacement, that is going to be very hard to get, especially one that has proved himself in the Premier League before. So I'm trying to find players that are very close as possible, even though they may inevitably be slightly different. Iheanacho plays in a 4-2-3-1, which is the exact same formation David Moyes uses, or he plays within a back three and plays next to a partner up front, which is normally Patson Daka or Jamie Vardy, with Iheanacho being the more creative one out of the lot. That's not to say he's not a goal scorer, but just showing his creative side also. If we look at some of his statistics now, Iheanacho has scored 4 goals and provided 5 assists this season, in the league within 26 matches played. Obviously looking at paper, these stats aren't phenomenal, are they? However, it is important to note Leicester hasn't had the best of seasons, so this could have an impact on certain players. Besides from having an abundance of Premier League experience already, Iheanacho also has the experience in the Europa League and the Europa Conference League, producing 6 goal contributions in these competitions this season. Something that personally really impresses me with Iheanacho is his creative side. He's in the top 99 percentile for assists and top 95 percentile for expected assists out of all the other forwards in the top 5 leagues. So although it necessarily hasn't been his best goal scoring season, he still is definitely contributing towards his side with his creativity. I mean, in general, if we look at the stats, he has an impressive all-round statistics in the passing sector, contributing over 2 progressive passes per game, having a pass completion percentage of around 79%, which is definitely impressive for a striker. He also isn't afraid to get stuck in and work hard for his team either, which he knows Moyes really admires. Putting up over 17 pressures per 90 and over 1 tackle per game, he would put the phrase defending from the front into practice. Unlike Embolo, however, Iheanacho isn't in his last 12 months of his contract. He has still got 2 years left with his current deal, ending in June 2024. Now in my opinion, this would be the perfect time to test the waters with a bid, as we know most clubs do not like having their players down in their last 2 years, as it means they have to either tie them down to a new contract or get rid of them in that window in order to maintain their market value. So for me, it would be an interesting signing. It personally wouldn't be my first choice, but I would not be disappointed if Iheanacho was brought in. The third and final potential striker option on my list is Jonathan Burkhardt. Now I'm guessing you're all thinking, who on earth is this fella? Well, Jonathan Burkhardt is a 21-year-old German under-21 international who plays for Mainz in the Bundesliga. Now I must confess I haven't even heard of this guy until the other day, so this suggestion will probably be the biggest gamble out of the lot, in terms of no one knowing who he is. I came across Jonathan Burkhardt after looking into some of his statistics and comparing him to Mikel Antonio's, and going off purely statistics alone, he seems that he would be of some use to West Ham. When playing for Mainz and Germany under-21s, Burkhardt predominantly plays within a 3-5-2 formation. Obviously he's used to playing up front with a partnership, but due to his age and also the fact that at times he has been deployed off the right, I'm sure he would be able to do a job as a lone striker also. This signing would be more of someone for the future, perhaps not someone who we should expect to come in and hit the ground running straight away. If Moyes was to buy 2 strikers, with one of them being a promising youngster for the future as a third option, then Jonathan Burkhardt wouldn't be a bad shout. Although I can't say that I watch the Bundesliga a lot and tend to watch Burkhardt in action for Mainz, I have had a look at him on YouTube and he does seem quite promising. Obviously we can only take clips from YouTube with a pinch of salt, as they're of course only showing us 5 minutes of his best moments. After watching some clips of how he plays, he seems to me to have a bit of everything. He looks very unselfish and will probably provide plenty of assists for the likes of Jarrod Bowen. Although not blessed with blister in place, he is definitely mobile and will be able to get away from defenders with a turn of pace. But he also does not mind the ball into his feet, facing away from the goal, as he has enough strength to hold off the opponent and either turn and shoot or feed one of his teammates in for a goal scoring opportunity. And as for an added bonus, he also isn't too bad in the air. He is no means a Thomas Souček, but if you put it on a plate for him, I reckon he'll finish. Burkhardt must have some decent potential, as a lot of German fans are calling him the future of their side, and I believe he has already captained the under-21 side for his country. Looking at some of his statistics now, they aren't the finished article of course, but let's not forget he's only 21 years old. Some of his more impressive stats would be in his 0.46 non-penalty expected goals per 90, he is placed within the top 83 percentile of this against other forwards in the top 5 leagues. This shows that he puts himself in the right areas to score goals. He also places within the top 77 percentile for touches in the attacking box, with over 6 per 90. So as well as drifting out wide and dropping deep to create chances, he also has it in his locker to cause havoc within the penalty box. His passing statistics are also decent as well. Nothing to shout about, but decent enough for his age. Burkhardt also contributes in the defensive side of the game, providing over 1 block per game, which places him in the top 86 percentile. This may be down to sometimes being played off the wing however. With Jonathan Burkhardt's stock only rising, West Ham should look to get in early, before inevitably the likes of Dortmund and Bayern Munich are sniffing around his signature. We could probably look to get him around the 20 million mark, and for a player with this much potential in years to come, that could be seen as a bargain. In my opinion, I'd like to see this signing happening, as long as we bring another player along the front three who could also do a job at striker. This would then allow Burkhardt some time to settle in and find his feet without too much pressure being on him. After looking at the 3 potential options, I believe Embolo would probably be the best option for West Ham, at the moment anyways. Although I would like to see the promising Burkhardt come in as well. If it was just after one striker we were after, then it would have to be Embolo, due to how similar he is to Mikel Antonio. But of course that is just my opinion at the end of the day, Let me know what you think in the comments, and also tell me if you'd like me to look at any other potential striker targets. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.
Stays the same. Once you let it change. It's like a family tree.